Open session public meetings are subject to being videotaped. Your image and voice may be recorded. Okay. We'll try to just get a couple things done while we're waiting for the appointed hour here.
Okay.
Just be sure everybody. We will start promptly at 7:15, but I want to be sure that everybody who's coming has a chance to get here, so. All right. A motor vehicle fiscal year 16 refund in the amount of $46.88. Move to approve.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any comments or questions?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motor vehicle refund fiscal year 17, the amount of $1,513.55. This goes to 4 recipients.
Okay, move to approve.
Second?
Any comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have a reimbursement to our administrator in the amount of $10 for cell phone coverage. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Any comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda is the appointment of trench officers. These are people who oversee trenching work.
I was going to ask.
Okay. There are significant regulations governing the opening and shoring up, etc., and oversight of trench activity, and so that's what these people are doing.
All right.
And as I said when we were putting this on the agenda, it's better to be a trench officer in 2017 than a trench officer in 1917. That was, so there's Keith Clemmer, James Spinney, and Joseph Hatchu.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any comments or questions?
Nope.
Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next is our approval of the granting of an easement on the Seslick property. This does turn out to be the property on Allen
Right.
Road. I'm still a bit confused, but I thought this had already been done, but
So did I.
but Concom is asking for it, so,
Okay.
and at least we know where it is now.
Okay.
All right. So I would take a motion to approve the acceptance of this easement. It's an easement for parking for access to the conservation land off Allen Road.
So moved.
Second?
Any comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Peter, I see you want some guidance on the CDC thing, but we'll do this right after the swearing in, because I think that'll take more than the minute and a half or 2 minutes, so yeah. Just the next item, then it would be approval of the newsletter. I read it. I thought it was great.
Awesome.
I actually had a few typos, but you want to
Okay,
just take them?
I can get
and
those, yeah, I can get
Yeah.
those to Lucy.
All right.
I take a motion to,
Motion to
approve
approve.
the issuance of it, and
Second.
we can sort out those typos. Any comments or questions?
Nope.
All right, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for your work, Lisa.
Yes, that was.
Didn't
it
Lucy do
looks
a
good.
beautiful job?
Yeah.
The whole thing looks great, yeah. All right, I think we can get started with really the main event of the evening, which is the swearing in of a new
Hey,
patrol
have
officer.
a seat. All right. Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, it's, in this day and age, in law enforcement, we see a lot of negatives on the news. We see a lot of things that aren't always pleasant, but it's always nights like this that kind of are fun and exciting. And the past year, we've seen the retirement of Sergeant Geis. We had a resignation, so we've been filling positions, and it's been very difficult to hire. Being here in a small town, we like to try and hire people that are already academy trained. It saves us time in filling spots, but also saves us quite a bit of money, which we need to be aware of. It was very difficult this time. We went through a process. We received a bunch of resumes, and we had some pretty good candidates. And then we were fortunate, we got a couple of latecomers to the party that put in their resumes, and thankfully that happened, because we had some people withdraw from the process at the 11th hour. And to be honest, we had our backs up against the wall, and we kind of wondered what was going to happen when we interviewed, and if we would, with a small candidate pool, what we would find. And I think we found a gem. We got lucky. So I'm presenting to you Matthew McCrae to be appointed as our newest police officer. Matt's a graduate of the NECC Police Academy. It's a newer police academy run out of Northern Essex Community College. While he attended the police academy, he sustained an injury that could have ended his time there and had him restart. But he, talked to doctors, and he could try. He could either give up and go back to the next class, or push his way through, potentially risking further injury. But he did it. He got through. And as a result, the staff instructors and the leader of his class actually created an award for him, the Grit Award for his class. And I think that's pretty telling of his makeup. So we, through the rest of our process, we had, our interview panel, and the feedback I got from our interview panel was pretty interesting. Matt kind of turned the interview around on them at the end, asked them some questions, and often we ask that in our interviews, do you have any questions for us at the end? And you get questions about pay and benefits and different things. But, his question, and when I had a one-on-one with him, his question to me was, what makes you stay here? It was more about not the financial gain or what you get out of it, but it was that personal benefit and that connection you have to a community. And I think that's the type of person that we look for when we, hire an officer here in Berlin. And we learned more about that through his background investigation and the jobs he had, and hearing from one former employer that saw how he interacted with the public in his other job, and then offered him a position to go work there. It really couldn't have worked out any better. And I'm very happy that Matt's here today, and he can be appointed as our newest police officer. He also has some family members with him, and his mother actually also served for a time as an officer in the town of Ashby.
Wow. Great. Well, as you say, there are lots of things in this job that aren't fun and so on, but this is one of those things that that really is fun and rewarding to do, and I'm always pleased to see this process happen, and to see a new person come on board and become a member of the community. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And we're going, you can.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then we're going to take a vote. I would accept a motion to approve Matthew as a patrolman.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
No?
All right, we'll take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Welcome.
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Eloise was nice enough to come in tonight to actually officially swear Matthew in, so.
You right. You, having been appointed to the Berlin Police, do swear that you will perform the duties of this office to the best of your knowledge and ability, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, you'll have to sign down here and today's date.
Right here.
Yeah, good enough.
Yeah. You're getting added to the list at the end.
We're tipping the scales now.
Yeah, you're getting there, Kevin. Right? He shoots right-handed, though.
What's that?
He shoots right-handed.
That's not fair.
Could you print your name yesterday? Welcome to
Excellent.
Thank you.
Welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief.
Awesome. Thank you.
Downstairs, for anyone that wants to join us.
And thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Yeah, you gotta go get some.
He made it past Marshall. No sweat.
Yeah?
He's awesome if he made it past Marshall.
What's that?
He made it past Marshall.
Oh,
All right. Okay. Let's- Peter, you want to come up?
Sure.
Yeah.
Mary called this to the calendar, not me.
Hmm?
Mary brought this onto the calendar, not me. I'm just along for the ride.
So,
So both these organizations, Neshoba Valley as well. Does that ring a bell? They're the other one that wants Berlin involved with them and a point person. So I'm not volunteering the EDC, but we're certainly willing to do our part if that's what you prefer, or the planning board for that matter.
I was gonna say, I thought that the planning was the point on this one. No?
I think we had said something about that at a previous meeting. had we
That
not?
was Neshoba Valley Working Town Administrator Collaborative.
This one.
Okay,
And this is similar request, really.
okay.
okay.
So there's the Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce as well.
Yeah, well, it's a town administrator regional collaborative. They facilitate the meetings, the Chamber of Commerce. They started these
Okay.
discussions, but it's not the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
All right, and the immediate issue here is,
They're asking, both groups were asking for the towns, all the member towns and their different memberships to identify their priority development areas or PDAs.
I think the first thing is who of all of us, committees and teams and members, is going to be the point person or organization.
okay.
Tim's here too.
I was kind of wondering.
Tim, do you have any thoughts about this? Do you have any thoughts about this?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Why
don't you come on up, too?
We're gonna put you right on the spot here.
Sounds like a good idea.
Which one?
The one he didn't hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all sound good if you don't hear them. Anyway, this, and again, this is new to me, so this is,
This request that you're responding to in particular is the 495 Metro West Partnership, I thought.
And the Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, that was a while ago, but that's probably still a standing request for communities to participate.
The 495 one has been around a long time, of course, and
Yeah.
and we don't, I don't think, send.
We're not members. Oh, we're
We're members, but we don't
participating.
participate.
Yep.
But if the Economic Development Committee is interested in participating, I'd say bravo, because it has a lot to do with that theme.
yep,
You know, so, and just to have an ear to the ground and know what's going on with that organization, it's going to help the town. I mean, there's opportunities to participate in some joint discussions about infrastructure improvements and all that sort of stuff. So.
Okay.
And 495 is certainly the economic engine that drives our economy.
Yep.
And it has a significant impact on the state. I mean, clearly, 495 is where it's happening, and particularly from Milford to, Lowell. So we're right in the thick of it. And when, you branch out to 290 and run down to Worcester, you really get all of the activity that's going on economically that's important to the state. So it's good for us to listen and know what's
I
happening.
mean, I think one of us, organizations or people, should represent the town.
Yeah.
I think there's no question about
Yeah.
that. I support that completely.
No, and I think it's been out there. Planning board has not had somebody willing to.
No, I mean, I deal with,
Put that
I
on.
mean, I know Paul Matthew, and I've, gone to things over the years, but we don't regularly participate at all.
The 495 Metro West Partnership has a lot of different committees. There's transportation, there's development,
Yeah.
there's different things. And same with this Town Administrators Collaborative. It's not all this, and that they don't have defined subcommittee meetings. So you'd have to watch an agenda to see when something's talking about economic development, because they talk about other things too.
Well, I think-
Stormwater management and.
Well, I think the 495 and the chamber are just looking for a representative of this town to chime in when we,
Yep.
whenever there's an issue that they want us to chime in on, or inversely, when we want to be involved.
And I'd say if you had a time limit and had to make a choice, the 495 initiative would be the one I'd encourage you to participate in over the Neshoba board.
The Neshoba
at
board
this
has a
point.
complication in that all the member communities, it seems, are all part of different regional planning councils.
Yeah.
Littleton's
Yeah.
part of Boston.
I mean,
A lot
it
of them
goes
want to choose it.
way up.
It's
Yeah.
a different direction.
But I mean, if you have the time, pay attention to topics,
And you're willing to serve in that capacity?
Who said that?
You didn't. That's why I'm having to ask the question. Yeah.
Something like being volunteered? No, that's fine.
I was just asking
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah, I mean, we'll if you want us to do it, we'll find a way.
How do people feel?
Oh, I think if Peter's got
Fine
someone who
with
wants
me.
to participate, then I think
No,
that's
no, I
great.
don't, but
Well, if
we'll
you're
find a
willing
way.
You seem
We'll
to be
find
the
a
only
way.
one who is actually following up on it, so yeah, I would say
Well, that's only
run
because
with
I'm-
I'm
it.
feeling a little energy around here, so I think.
No,
Yep.
I'm doing this because I'm the chair, to ensure that this
Well, how
is
about
complete.
you? Yep. See if you can find somebody and let us know.
Yeah. And again, if
If you wanted to
We-
assign this to us and the EDC, we'll go with it.
I think that sounds like a good idea. And, the EDC should, consider what's happening and liaise with planning board, obviously, when they see fit. I mean, they're two closely related boards anyway, so.
Yeah.
All right. So I would accept a motion to request the EDC to find a volunteer.
So moved.
Second.
Any further comments or questions?
No?
All right, hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. All righty. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Peter.
All right. The next we have a meeting with Tim. I think we can start it. It's pretty close to 7:30 at this point. Regarding the Community Compact Complete Streets Tier 2 Agreement.
So as you recall, when we entered into the community compact, we agreed to two best practices. One was complete streets, the other was shared services. The complete streets, we filed our profile, and then we've had Central Mass develop the scope of services that then goes to the state. The state approves it. Central Mass would do the work, then the state would reimburse Central Mass for the work that was done. So we don't get involved in the money end of things, other than to say the work was completed at some point. And upon completion, then we have a prioritization plan that sort of outlines a 5-year, 10-year profile as to what some of the priorities would be in terms of trying to meet some of the requirements of complete streets, which is the shared highway network for pedestrians, bicyclists, motor vehicles, transit, and freight. So we obviously look at a small portion of the town, basically the center probably, but because so much of the town wouldn't be able to comply with a lot of the complete streets profile. So
Okay. Just because it's not terribly long, I'll read the deliverables under this contract, particularly for people who may be watching. CMRPC will prepare a complete streets project prioritization plan using Mass DOT's provided template that identifies a minimum 5-year prioritization plan with a minimum of 15 potential projects that have been identified through data collection, evaluation, and prioritization process. Projects may focus on addressing the following complete streets-related needs: safety, ADA accessibility, pedestrian mobility, bicycle mobility, transit operations and access, freight and vehicular operations. The prioritization plan will include preliminary project estimates to assist with programming construction funds and the preparation of estimated construction duration schedules to assist with identifying projects that can meet fiscal year deadlines. Additional narrative and planning process steps will be provided in the final report, allowing for a document to accompany the prioritization sheet. So that actually that sounds like a good set of deliverables for us.
and it's tailored to try to anticipate some of the work that we might be doing anyway. So if Keith had a plan to resurface a certain section of road in the center of town, then you'd incorporate some of the prioritization, projects into that work. So, you'd improve a sidewalk as the road network was being improved at that point. So it's not onerous, I don't think, in terms of the town having to come up with significant amounts of money above and beyond what we might be doing anyway. And when you have the plan in place, then you're eligible to apply to the state for a certain percentage of the funding that helps you do some of the improvements. So that's why the whole package is put together in the first place.
That's great.
So with your signature, then I can upload into the great, sky, cloud, whatever it is,
Excellent.
Yeah, so,
The great compact in the sky.
yeah,
All right.
into the portal, right? Is that what we call it? They have a portal that I'm supposed to
Yeah.
negotiate.
All right, and I would note that the amount that the Commonwealth will be compensating CMRPC will be $12,290 under this contract.
Okay.
I would accept a motion to approve.
So moved?
Second?
Any further comments or questions?
No, I think it's a good thing.
All right. Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. And you get, should I just give one of these to Tim now?
Well, Janet Pierce needs to sign them too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you ship them all to her?
Gotcha. No, I was just looking at the note.
You can
and
give it
that's
to
a
me
note
and I'll take it to
yourself.
her.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a note to yourself, not to, okay.
Right.
All right,
So I can get them.
You can take
I can take them and I'll get Janet to sign them.
there you go.
This is all the,
And just make sure there's nothing else in there.
Yeah, you only want me to carry away certain things.
And you can take it.
Wow, that's easy.
Yep.
Thank you very much. All right.
Okay.
Do you want to stay about the special town meeting, the next topic?
Oh, I'd be happy to.
Oh, all your stuff is, it's almost like we planned it. All the things we
I
would need you for,
appreciate
you're
that.
right
Yeah.
here.
That's pretty good. All right. The discussion then is whether and when to have a special town meeting. The developers of Riverbridge have an interest in doing so for a number of reasons relating to modification of the development plan. They would like to have that sometime before the end of the year. Do you want to indicate any of the things that they might be interested in, or?
Well, I mean, one of the factors is that we, as a town, have a deadline that's, I guess, November 2017 in regard to the possible acquisition of half of the property at River Run. And my sense is that we're not prepared to make that decision yet for a variety of reasons, waiting on council to give us maybe a clearer picture about the legal implications of acquiring a parcel that then has a tenant and all that sort of stuff. So it may be wise for the town to have that part of the development agreement modified so that we extend that period. There are certain trigger points in terms of, I think the $50,000 or 50 plus has to do with the creation of a memory care or and so because the project is paced out slowly, the hotel is clearly going up. The apartments should start in the spring based on the agreements that they've gotten into. They pulled the building permit for the building that would be on the small rotary. The package store will move there, so I think we'll see activity. Well, I think we have. I guess there's a bulldozer on that site now. So I think there's starting to be activity, but it's still off pace, and I think they'd like to have some conversation with us about modifying the due date on that 50. And then they've come to the planning board with an interest in addressing the drive-through for Dunkin', and the planning board and the Economic Development Committee met with Highland Commons representatives and folks from Simon, and during that meeting there was a modest amount of conversation about the possibility of drive-throughs on those sites. I think Highland wasn't particularly interested in it, but Simon potentially has an interest, and so the planning board's exploring the notion of perhaps some of those overlays should be targeted for a limited number of drive-throughs, given the fact that it's not McDonald's and Burger King anymore. It's Panera Bread and anybody else that has a restaurant that's seems to be selling from a window. And Panera Bread stayed in Hudson rather than coming to Berlin at Highland Commons because we didn't have that in our bylaw. So we may very well want to have the drive-through issue addressed at a town meeting as well. So there's a number of different pieces to the puzzle.
My understanding is that Eloise would prefer not to have it in November. I have a personal reason for not. I'm going to be in London the week before, one of the likely weeks, the week before the Thanksgiving week. Not that I have to be here for a special town meeting, but I would like to be. And so I think we were talking about maybe doing it in the first, week to 10 days of December, that would be, enough before the holidays that, we don't interfere with that, but we could also get these things out of the way before year end, and wondered what the others thought about that.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Um,
I would also note that, as we're going to talk in a moment, been working over the last 2 or 3 weeks trying to understand where we were with respect to the old town hall, and I think that we are going to have to go for, some additional funds for that. Actually, probably largely into the town hall building expense, and we'll talk about those in more detail, but it would facilitate our addressing, those issues with that project as well. So,
Okay.
is there a sense to, let me just see where the weeks
The first
divide for
Monday
December.
is the state election, so Eloise didn't want it on December 5th, but she thought that the 11th or the 18th, the next two,
Mhm.
want to stick to
Really?
Monday.
I'd be inclined to go to the 11th, I think, as you get closer and closer to the holidays. How do people feel? I mean, I'll certainly be around too for the 18th, but,
I would rather just as soon do it earlier than later.
okay.
Yeah, agreed.
So I'll contact the school and see if it's available.
Yeah, why don't we try the 11th? That seem good for you, Tim? And because obviously planning board will have some conversations with people and, okay. All right, so let's try that as an initial date, and if for some reason that doesn't work, we can consider perhaps the 18th next Monday. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Next, we have the report on the funding and spending on the town hall. Do other people have copies of this, or did you?
I think, Mary, did you give us one earlier?
Because I'm sitting here with
That's what I
2,
handed
but
to
not
you,
3.
But you skipped
Right.
over 8. Did you want to skip over 8?
8?
Are you Mrs. LaPlante?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I did. Yes, do you want to come up? Yeah. No, I think it's good, thank you, and thank you for pointing that out. I think it's good you came in because there's obviously been a lot of emails on this, and sometimes it's easier just to talk face to face and go through the questions, so, yeah. This is a situation regarding the leashing, or I think more to the point, the lack of leashing at dogs at Gates Pond. And there have been a lot of emails going back and forth about who has the ability to do something about that. We have indicated that we don't have a leash law in Berlin. We can't create a leash law by bylaw that would affect one, piece of property. If we,
Wait, can I?
Yes.
Sorry, and why is that? I don't understand that.
the property's not, if the property is owned by the, let me back up for a minute. If the property is owned by the town, we don't need a leash law, because we, as the municipal owner of the town, can establish regulations for the use of that piece of land. So, for instance, if we own a piece of conservation land, and that piece of conservation land is, a sensitive environment for creatures that would be disturbed, by dogs without leashes, we can establish that as a rule of, the use of that. If we have athletic fields where they're playing soccer and it becomes a problem that people have unleashed dogs because they're running into the soccer field or something, we can establish, as the municipal owner of the land, a rule that says that during, public sports hours, all dogs on South Common have to be leashed. If you look at when you come in the door here in Berlin, it says no dogs in the town office building except for service dogs. So that's one way that we can regulate dogs, and that's not a general leash law. That's just as the owner of the land being able to establish appropriate conditions for its use.
At least my thinking was on track.
Yeah.
It's just that, yeah.
A bylaw that would affect one parcel and one owner who was not the town. You found all of those things we don't need a
Yes.
bylaw for. We can establish, as a regulation. To establish a bylaw that affected one piece of property and one owner would be discriminatory against that one piece of property and that one owner.
That makes sense.
So, that is what we've been trying to convey to you from the Berlin side. So, we are not the owner of the Hudson land. We are not the owner of the Gates Pond land. Hudson is as part of its reservoir reservation. So we can't establish a regulation for that land the way we could for conservation land that we owned, or a recreational field that we owned, or this building
Some
that
public,
we own,
yeah.
because we're not the owner of it, so we can't go with that route. So that's what we've been saying, and I understand you feel quite caught in the middle on this.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I've kind of known about this
Yeah.
dual
Yeah.
situation going on for a while.
So, as I've looked at the emails, the town manager in Hudson indicated that a few years ago, Hudson attempted to pass a bylaw
Right.
that affected that land, and the AG rejected it as a bylaw on the basis of the fact that it was a town bylaw of Hudson that purported to affect land in Berlin. I mean, that it seems to me a little bit pettifogging, a little bit too narrow a reading of things. I believe really firmly that as the owner of that land, Hudson can establish rules and regulations for the use of it.
In the sense
They could-
that Berlin could establish them, you mean, because
No,
it's public?
we
or-
don't own it, so we
No,
can't.
I meant in a similar.
Yes, similarly,
fashion.
again, if we, for instance, we can say athletic fields are closed half an hour after sunset, okay? We can say that. We don't need a bylaw for that or anything. We're the owner of it.
Right.
Hudson could say that that's closed, 1 hour after sunset. They could say, if they started to use it actively again, they could do what's been done at, Wachusett, which is to severely limit access, period, to that land. If they were using it and they felt that the water supply was being compromised, they have the power to put a fence around that whole thing and say people can't go within, 50 feet of Gates Pond. They have that ability.
I must be missing the boat. I'm quite familiar with this. There's a whole bunch of regulations, including a leash law currently. Are you aware of that?
In Berlin?
No, at Gates Pond.
Oh, no, yeah,
Property
no,
owners.
we're getting to that. We're getting to that.
I didn't mean to say missing the boat.
No, absolutely, no. I've been there, I've seen the signs, and the signs say that dogs have to,
Within a certain amount of feet of the water.
be on a leash. And so what I'm saying is, I believe that Hudson has every right to establish those. And in fact, they appear to have, because they're posted.
There are signs there.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly. Again, not as a bylaw, but just as the owner of the land.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So, So our position is we cannot establish the regulation of that because we're not the owner. And it's at least very difficult to craft a bylaw that affects just one parcel and, and one owner, okay? That
Yeah.
is not us. So that's where we are. To my way of thinking, now the question is, who enforces it?
Enforces what?
Well, they
Enforces
appear
the
to, I
bylaw
mean,
that
first of
can
all,
have rules.
they appear to have rules and regulations.
No, right, who enforces those?
And then the question is, I mean, first of all, we can confirm, I presume they have enacted those regulations because they bought signs and they put them on the signs, I mean, and so then the question is one of enforcement, all right? Hudson has the ability to enforce that. They're the owner of the land. They have the ability to enforce it. Okay? They can send up people from their DPW. They could send them accompanied by Hudson police officers. They could do any number of things to enforce that. Okay? Because we're not the owner of the land, it's a little more difficult, I believe, for Berlin to do that, especially without a request from Hudson to do it.
To do it, yeah.
As I say, it is Hudson's land, it is Hudson's reserve, and it does get to be a little awkward to have Berlin police, policing the interior of their, reserve. So that's where we are.
So, can I tell you where I am?
Yeah, please.
There's been a lot of legwork done between me and Thomas Moses on the Hudson side of things before I even contacted Berlin. It eventually reached a point where Thomas Moses said he is not going to pursue anything regarding this leash law. And he said you can go to the Board of Selectmen. So
Of Hudson. Yes.
Sorry, right. So in the meantime, I thought about this localized leash law idea. And so I said, well, let's address that first before I go to the Board of Selectmen for Hudson. So that's what all of this was, right? And then with the Board of Selectmen for Hudson, because of this bylaw issue, what I was thinking I was going to do was actually go to the Hudson Board of Selectmen and just request that the signs are bigger or more legible. I mean, the writing is so little and reworded. I mean, dogs are to be restrained within 400 feet of the perimeter of the pond. Like, who knows what that is? I don't know.
Well,
So-
I've walked the walkway, and I think almost certainly, 90%, if not 100% of that walkway, probably with the exception of the entrance, is within 400 feet of the pond. I mean,
It is, yeah, because I've gone around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason this came up was because I've been walking Gates Pond for 20 years, and in the last couple of years, it's gotten really crowded. And which means the concentration of dogs and people is a lot higher. And I've had dogs coming at me and jumping on top of me. And I've also, not at Gates Pond, but I've gotten bit by dogs that do that. And so that's why I want a leash law or some restraint, because everybody says, oh, my dog's really nice, my dog won't do that. But I've gotten bit twice, once in Hudson and once up in New Hampshire.
Some bad luck.
I know, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Could we institute a toll?
So that's where I'm coming from, that's all I was saying.
Tom, could we institute a toll and generate some revenue? I'm just thinking.
A dog toll?
No, a quantity of people and dogs, and maybe a poop toll, and we could,
Unfortunately, it's
I'm just thinking economically.
not our
We
land.
don't own the property.
We'd have to set up a toll booth on Taylor Road, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So for 3 separate days, one on a weekend, one on a Friday, and one in the middle of the week, I actually walked around a couple times and tracked how many dogs I saw and how many dogs were leashed and how many dogs weren't leashed. And the range was like 20 to 50 dogs, and about 50% of them were not leashed, 40 to 50%. And that's a lot. I mean, I don't know.
No, I mean, as I said last week, I used to walk our dog there, and I saw the sign, and I always kept the dog on the leash because the landowner asked me to. And,
Right.
you know, I mean, it's just as simple as that, you know, that, because it said it on the sign.
So if you ask them to put the signs bigger, which is, I think, a good suggestion, would Hudson be able to police that, or no?
They would be able to enforce that.
Okay.
Again, just as I said, we could, you know, gave you the examples of stuff that we could do.
Right.
They have the legal ability to do that. The question is, do they have the resources? Are they willing to commit to doing it? That's,
Can I just ask a question?
Of course.
Have they been asked? I mean, what's their response? They don't want to enforce it? I guess that's what I'm trying to understand, is if you've got the data and you've given that to them, and, I mean, did they have a response to it? Or...
Oh.
I mean, if
Well-
it's their land and I think that's really interesting data. I mean, what did their selectmen say? If you went there and said, hey, you have this regulation, it's posted, you know, are you not enforcing? I mean, it is their drinking water. You would think they would want to enforce it. So I'm just asking,
Right.
you know.
Oh, no, and that is my next step, is
Yeah.
to go to the Board of Selectmen there. I wanted to do this
Yeah.
first, just to see.
Mhm.
And I totally get, though, that it's the public land you can do that with.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So,
what it
It's
is.
just-
And
yeah.
I think you, when you go, you can, you know, carry them the message that, and please object if you disagree with this, that the Berlin Selectmen recognize that that is Hudson land, and we recognize Hudson's municipal authority to establish rules and regulations for the use of it. You can carry, right? I mean, you can carry
Yes.
that message to them.
right. And I will.
And I hope they will.
We'll see. So yes, the signs are up for dogs being leashed, but,
It is very tiny, though.
yeah, on
That
the
was
big
my
board
first-
of regulations, it's very
Yes.
tiny, and all the little ones that are copies of that all around, it's very little. And then they just put up a new one that wasn't a regulation, but it was about dog waste being a pollutant or something like that. And,
Just for people's information.
well, so to do this, then you need to leash your dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you need to leash your dog, is what it says, leash, and then
Clean up.
whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
No, I mean,
the
those are all
enforcement-
eminently reasonable regulations, so, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
For your
Thank
time, I
you. Good
appreciate
luck.
it. Yep. I'll come back and let you know sometime.
All right, thank you.
Or you'll see the signs.
All right,
Keith need something?
Keith,
What?
do you need something?
I'm just wondering. I'm thinking that you need to
I
talk
don't
to us.
come to meetings. Rita.
Yeah.
You just turn over a new
Exactly.
leaf and come
So-
to all the selectmen.
Yeah, I would,
Is that
yeah,
all right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Here I am.
yeah.
Got any questions?
No,
I'm
we,
here.
Should we get that on camera?
I did have a question.
No, I just,
Keith, but,
well, if you do, let's.
well, I did send an email just requesting feedback on
Okay.
Keith's property that, on Linden Street, and where he should go next.
The conservation, DPW, the NOI.
Yes, I know what
Okay.
you're talking about.
All right.
Yes,
You do know what we're talking about?
yes, I do.
Okay.
But you're not asking me the question, are you?
No, I'm asking, well, I was, in the email, I was asking the board for feedback tonight.
Ah, okay.
I put it in miscellaneous correspondence because I thought Lisa kind of answered it, but if you want to talk about it.
Okay. I just didn't know whether there was a difference now that Keith has a signature of the new owner of the property,
I'm pretty sure.
and whether you have to absolutely go and notify the abutters again? Yes?
Yes?
Okay.
Why, the abutters didn't come the first time? Let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm not on the agenda, I'm just listening
Okay.
tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, I was gonna
I just
ask for
wanted to
some
make sure that
feedback.
you didn't have,
Yeah.
because you looked like you maybe wanted to go home.
I'm already home.
Oh.
No, actually, I did. It
Well,
looked
it's
like
nice to
you
see you.
were waiting to say something, which is fine.
Complete Streets of tonight, I was listening to that.
Oh, good. All right.
Awesome.
Nothing good on TV, huh?
Okay. Then,
All right.
shall we proceed with the spending funding at the town hall?
Yep.
That's what we have next. All right. We're still tinkering with a couple of these figures, and one or two of them may be off by a couple of $100, but I have gone through this now with June and Leanne, and so I think these are really, they're solid, and they tell us where we are. And as I say, we have a couple of recon issues that might be a couple $100 here and there, but this is where we are.
Okay.
And the law, basically, the report sets out the funding. Section 2 deals with the shortfall that we have. Section 3 is just basically a table that talks about the various expenditures above contract that we have made since the 1016. Above contract here means above the main contractor's contract price. So it's for paying for anything that isn't covered by that contract, and that includes things like change orders. It includes testing. It included expenses with respect to the bid documents, etc. So, above contract only means above what we are paying for the contract and what's provided under the contract. The amounts and the budget for the project obviously included expenditures above and beyond the contract, but not enough. The bottom line is that at this point, in order to fund all of the items that are listed in Section 3 as above contract, we are short by about $33,000. That amount is largely attributable to two items, two major categories of items. One is the electrical service, and one is the electrical service to the Old Town Hall. A change in the electrical service to three-phase was not included in the calculation of the project, and three-phase power is required for the elevator. I inquired after this, and it appears that nobody particularly thought about this because most public buildings have three-phase power because they have, air conditioning and all of that. And so that was simply, not included.
Okay.
How much does that represent?
That represents about $25,000 of the $32,000 shortfall.
Is that bringing it from the pole right to the panel?
That includes new service in the building. It includes 2 poles from National Grid and 3 transformers. The proposed bill from National Grid is $17,000 of that 25, and then service and rewiring for the boxes and panels are the rest of it for the three-phase power.
Where are these transformers going?
They will be going on a pole on Woodard Avenue. So that's, as I say, 17,000 of that is the work for the poles and the transformers. The balance of that, approximately 25,000, is the other electrical work to bring the three-phase power, into a box and install a box that was suitable for that. The other item, which is about $7,500, is the pad for the curatorial building for art and historical. That amount was in the initial bid documents, but during the formation of the contract, we had information that Assabet could supply that pad, and so that pad was taken out of the contract, and the contract was signed, and thereafter it developed that Assabet couldn't pour the pad, and so we had to add that as a change order. That was about $7,500. So if you take the approximately, I think it's $25,500 for the electrical service and the $75,000, that's really, the cost overrun on that.
Who's responsible for this, Eric?
I suppose we are.
But you're not GC pros.
No, I mean, I think this is what happens when, citizens are putting together, a project like that. The project was perfectly sound within the building. The, contract, the drawings, all of that was fine. The assumption when people put that together was that, three-phase power was available in the building, and it was just, it just fell in the cracks. It doesn't represent, doing this doesn't represent any additional costs that we wouldn't have encountered anyway, so it's not like somebody did something that has caused us a loss. It's just that the project should have been scoped with this piece in it as well. So, and that's, that's what it is.
So, I have a question for you. We talked about some of the articles that have been available over the years.
Yes.
And have we run those down? Is that?
Those are, that's
they're
what
gone?
took me the 3 weeks to
Okay.
get. Originally, when I came in last week, I thought we had a much lower
Right.
overrun. But when I added things up in terms of the articles and the cost, I got a higher amount when I approached it by looking at the various articles and what we had spent and what we had left, particularly in the Article 1 special town meeting from fiscal year 17, in which we sort of topped things off. It appeared to be much lower. And finally the scales fell from my eyes, and I realized that two of the largest of the special articles that had remaining monies had already been included in the base funding calculations before that October of 2016 meeting. So those amounts had effectively been committed to the contract price, so they weren't available for change orders and expenditures above the contract. Now, what was confusing, and the reason I got down that alley, is that the advisory committee has suggested, and it's perfectly fine to do that, to take monies out of the odd special articles first, so we closed those out, and money's all fungible and it's all, attached to that project. But looking at it that way, it looked like we were paying things that had been assigned to contingency out of those articles, but in fact, and we were, but in fact, in terms of the calculation of funding, those articles had not been reserved for contingency. They'd been committed to the contract price. And so, approaching it one way, looking at what we'd expended and what we'd expended it from, it appeared as though those were available for contingencies. But then going back and looking at the record, I realized, that in fact, they had been, they'd been counted toward, which is fine, counted toward the contract price.
Right.
And that was virtually the entire difference between my calculations last week and my calculations this week. It's
Okay.
just realizing that.
Right, you can't spend it twice.
Unfortunately, you can't.
No.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be sure that all of these articles will be depleted if we should have to.
No, they are all there. I went over each of the articles with June.
Mm-hmm.
Went over them first last week. She wanted to check a couple of the articles. One of the articles with a small amount of money, about $1,100, said, weatherizing and windows on the second floor. And of course, there are windows, and they are, modern windows on the second floor, and the amount,
And
they're expensive
weathered.
windows, and
Yeah.
those windows on the second floor of the old town hall that are new and in the addition exceed the price of the $1,100 that's still in there. So we checked things like that, and she's content
Okay.
that there was also some money that originally was accrued for painting in the town hall and other, the 1870 town hall and other places. We had $2,000 left in that. Of course, there's a great deal of painting that's involved in this contract price, so that there was no problem with using that for that. So we've gone over each of the items, and if you look in this report, those items are listed in section 1B. Those are the additional odd items. So those give you
Okay,
those
good.
figures,
Yes.
and those figures are calculated here. I've still issued this in draft because, and Leanne should have it to us tomorrow. We also are bearing the costs, obviously, because there's no money going into the revolving fund of, maintaining, heating that building, and part-time wages associated with that. I had anticipated expenditures through 12/31 for completeness, and as we go into the budget process, I asked Leanne to put together a monthly run rate, so we, as we get into the budget process and know more about, when we expect them to be open for business and getting fees, and what the fees will be this year, because what we have to be mindful of is that a great deal of their fees come in November and December in a couple of major events, and it will not be open. I mean, it may be open for business by the 1st of December, but it hasn't been open long enough. Both of those have relocated for this year.
Right.
So we have to take that in mind. So anyway, the piece that's missing here is that which Leanne said that she was supplied tomorrow, because I caught her at the end of her day today when we were doing this. June will be taking a look just at the figures to see if she could clean up those couple of $100 or $200 disparities, but we all agree that this is, these figures are solid, and they tell us where we are.
Okay.
Okay? Any questions?
Nope.
Okay. And I'm glad that's over.
Thanks for your hard work.
It was incredibly frustrating to be adding it up one way and to be, $45,000 off from adding it the other way. It's like, oh, what's
So is
happening
she
here?
gonna come up with I gotta buy oil pretty quick, it's getting towards winter time. And who's gonna pay for that? And the 2-3 new heaters in the elevator area?
That's what we have to, that's what we have.
Somebody's gotta pay for all that.
That's right. That's why she's giving us those run rates, and that's why, and this connects with the special, town meeting, that we believe that, we should go to special town meeting with some articles, that, not article money. I think in this case, I think we'd like to do this as adding to the town hall expense, because if you put it in an article money, if it's not spent, it doesn't go back, to the people without a vote. My feeling is that this stuff, adding an electrical service and so on to a building is a municipal building expense, and we're going to spend all of this money before the end of the fiscal year, and if we don't, then it automatically, goes back. If we're over by 2,000 or 3,000, if it goes into municipal building expense, it'll go back.
So are we talking about adding to the building maintenance
The bit,
in the budget?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Municipal building fund.
I mean, that's
Expense.
what I would
Basically.
suggest, yes.
Okay,
Again, we have a little time to think about that.
right.
It was, really
That
just,
wasn't the only thing either that needed to probably go on there, right?
no, we need to talk
Yeah.
to you, see if there are other things that need to go on, but we need to go for, additional funding for these things. If there are other things that you feel that are operating expenses that we need to put in there, then yes,
We're
we need to
definitely
get that
gonna
info
incur
for
more
you
than we've had,
and
yes.
do it all at once.
Okay.
Yep. The point of this was to try to touch bottom on what we needed for the capital expense, if you will, and I think we have at this point, so.
You got that 33,000 to pay next week
33,000. But for whom?
for that? To
We don't have
finish
to
out
pay that next week?
contract. To finish out the contract. You just asked for $33,000. Where's that coming from? Or are you gonna go to special town meeting for that?
We would go to special town meeting for this amount, yes,
Gotcha.
yes. Yep,
Understood.
yep. Yeah, and as I say, my thought was to go for municipal, and again, this isn't cast in stone, but to go to municipal building expense for the cost of the electrical service and the electrical work that National Grid is doing. That's about 25.5. To perhaps do a special article for the pad for the curatorial building, but that's, again,
We got time, we got time.
yeah. Okay.
And remind me again, when you open to have articles submitted for, what the dates are?
A special town meeting, and
Yeah.
it's like, you can open it one week and close it the next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'd have to, if we were going, yeah. When you find out if we can do it at the 11th, also put in the,
The timeline.
the timeline. Okay? All right.
Okay.
Any other questions on that one? All right. Okay. This is here for,
That's what, you signed one of those a month ago.
Yeah.
Liberty Mutual is the surety for Antonelli Construction.
Yeah.
They need to,
they need another one of
maybe it's
these?
administrative, but the last one was done during a posted meeting, just certifying now that we're up to the 5th payment.
Oh, okay.
It increases the amount they've been paying.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
don't know, because I'm not going to the job meetings, what the expected completion date was. We always put the last time we put the contract substantially complete date at the end of the calendar year. If that's
That's
the right
still
thing.
a good date
Is
to
it?
put.
Okay.
Yeah, close enough. All right. So,
The building.
you want to authorize me to indicate the payments made to date? That's really what this is the adjustment of. Because they're the bonding if Antonelli goes south without performing the contract, so they need to know how much we've paid them, so.
Okay.
Okay? Motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
No?
Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, you have a question here, pay for injured employee for lost wages of less than 5 workdays.
I didn't really, but the employee wants to be paid for one lost day of work.
So, did they request that this come before us?
They want to get paid. And so the Board of Health is asking, how do we handle that? Because our insurance company pays for greater than 5 days. That's when the comp would pick it up. And I asked Peggy how this has historically been done.
Yeah.
She says she does not know of a policy for it.
And we don't have anything in the bylaw.
Didn't really spend a lot of time on it, but doesn't seem to be covered.
Okay. Well, this only came in yesterday, and I certainly haven't had a chance to look at this. So I would suggest I can take a look at it with you, and we put this on the agenda for next week. Okay?
Do we do the ACG? Do we have to do the ACG?
No.
Okay.
No, because I'm
We're
still
good?
waiting for their
Okay.
response. I'm hoping to get $1,700 or so off of that bill.
All
I'm
right.
just gonna take it off then until I hear from you, right? Take it off. the
Yeah,
agenda.
yeah, it'll probably be on next week, but
Okay.
I'll let you know. Okay, next issue was processing warrants on days when I presume these are non-holiday days that we don't sign them by Monday night, is that right? Is that what this question is?
They go sometimes to Dennis first, and it's been happening pretty frequently. It didn't used to happen a lot, and June seemed to think it was happening more frequently, and she's a little concerned about them getting lost somewhere in the process.
Can I explain?
Yeah.
So, when the warrants are ready and sitting on the selectmen's table, but the meeting isn't being held until a day later than usual, that's really fine. She doesn't care about that. But the assistant treasurer is looking to get ahead because she's not necessarily in a Wednesday.
Yeah.
She'd be in again on Thursday. And in order to get everything taken apart and separated and prepped for when that, once she gets the signed copy back. Now, today we beat her to it because you signed it all today and gave it to her during the
Right.
workday. But ordinarily, she'd be getting this tomorrow morning, a day that she's not here. So June is concerned about the sanctity of this package and things being
Okay.
misplaced because she feels it's her duty to report to you everything as per the cover sheet. Everything follows in a certain
Gotcha.
order, and she
Okay.
doesn't want things being taken apart.
But if we sign this by Monday night every week, this isn't an issue.
I suppose that would be true.
Okay. Okay.
So you need to make a commitment.
Yeah, no, and you know what? We do it before holidays, and I just, for some reason, I think we had a trifecta in terms of spacing it out.
Right.
I think we just didn't think about coming in on Monday and signing these the way we ordinarily would.
I did kind of, but I didn't think that it was a big deal. But apparently it is.
In this case, she wasn't really asking you to come in to sign it. She wanted to know how you wanted to handle this in the future, or she says in the alternative, but I don't know how her schedule works,
Yeah.
or does not get touched. So just because it's sitting on the selectmen's table, she's concerned about it being taken
Yeah.
apart in any way, shape, or form before you touch it.
Right, but my point is that, and all that's fine,
Yeah.
but my point is, this doesn't happen on normal weeks when we sign
Right.
them on
It's
Monday.
only the off weeks.
It's only the weeks, okay. So my point was, we don't even have these issues if we sign them by opening a business on Tuesday, correct?
Right, so if you came in late on a Monday night holiday and signed these things,
Right.
then there would be no issue.
Or if they were
well,
ready
except
over
for
the
this.
weekend and we came in, so,
There's no one that has the key to get it in there. I put it in after a meeting so that when she
Right.
comes in the crack of
Right.
dawn on a Tuesday,
Right.
it's there. But
Right.
I don't think you guys could do it. She'd have to find some place to put it that's secure. She doesn't have access to the room to get in here.
I understand. But all I'm saying is, this isn't a problem if we sign them before opening a business on Tuesday.
That is correct.
Period. That's
Okay,
it.
Yep.
right.
As simple as that.
Yep,
Right.
that is
Okay.
correct.
I think we can make that commitment and just skip, as I say, when we have a holiday or whatever, we're mindful of it and we do it. But for some reason, I don't know.
I know.
I didn't think of it. And
Now, we do have,
or if we miss a meeting, we always come in.
This isn't just because of this week, though. This is all the time.
yeah.
Anytime
When
a
we
meeting is
have
not
no
held on
meeting
Monday
on
night.
Monday.
Anytime
Yep,
it's
that's
not
right.
held on a Monday night.
Yep,
Right.
yep.
So any holiday,
Any time that the meeting is not on a Monday night,
Okay.
literally. Because of her work schedule
okay.
So we have another holiday coming up.
next week.
Yes,
Same thing would happen.
right. Are we
So we
all
just sign
available Monday nights?
If that's how you want to handle it, then you sign it.
I'm not sure I will be here.
For Columbus Day?
Actually, I might be home by the end of that day because I have to be here for Tuesday morning, so.
Mhm. No, and again, I think even, what time does she come into work? I mean, if,
I believe she is here slightly before June, but then June's in at 8 and she has a key to the office, but the treasurer doesn't have a key to this office. So there's a division of who has control.
all I'm saying is, I mean,
Yeah, she'd
if
have
it
it
was
pretty
here,
early.
if somebody even signed, if, normal sort of opening business somewhere 8, 9 o'clock, I mean, if we got
Right.
it signed before 9 o'clock, I suspect that's still not a problem.
Probably not.
Right.
Right.
I don't know her work schedule exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
But
I think we want to go back and say we will have a commitment to sign them on,
And if we're not having a meeting on a Monday, perhaps June could say Friday afternoon, they're ready, to remind us.
the way she does when,
yeah, that's
again, because we do, in the summers when we meet every other week, we're really good about it. I mean,
Same thing.
we
Right.
have that in mind and everything. And I didn't think it was an
I
issue,
know.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I could talk to June too tomorrow because I'm going to be talking to her at least briefly, about finalizing just those few little nits in the report. So let me talk to her about it. It does seem to me that,
Most of the time it works.
yeah, most of the time it works. And if we
Right.
have a holiday coming up and we discuss it and we're not going to be here, we can authorize, at that time for that
Right,
one time that she can break them.
right.
Fair enough?
Oops.
Okay?
Right.
Sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good.
Now, are we going to have, you will be here by Tuesday morning?
I believe, let me just make sure.
I just want to say you're around over the weekend. Okay.
Yeah. I'll
Um,
let you know way in advance if I'm not going to be, because I have to have horse sitters a month in advance.
Yeah.
Like,
I just have to have
otherwise
cat
I'm
sitters, that's a
here,
lot
you know?
easier.
I will most likely be here on Monday evening, so I could come in Monday evening
Okay.
and sign them.
I think so too, but this
Yeah.
is the week, and then I go down and we close the house, so.
Right.
And I had been debating whether to come back on
Monday night
Tuesday
or Tuesday
yeah, Monday
morning.
night or Tuesday morning.
I
but,
most likely will come back Monday night.
Okay. So it looks like we will have 2 signatories.
Right.
Plus, we can also designate, we had decided we could designate Lisa to sign them.
Yeah.
But then June said she
You
had to
trigger
run
some
off,
crazy
run
process.
off everything in order to,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
and I thought that sounded like more work.
Madness ensues.
Yeah.
Yes, all right then.
Just-
Yes, I forgot about that.
We only get to, in special occasions, to
Okay.
allocate madness.
All right. So we'll keep in touch. I suspect I'm going to be coming back on, Monday afternoon, be back around
Okay.
dinner time, so.
But either way, I'm here, so
Yeah.
we're covered.
Okay.
Okay, all righty.
We're good?
Excellent. Anything else, any selectmen's activities, whatever we'd like to chat about for a moment? It said that we'd always set aside some time to,
Well, we had 2 interviews for the superintendent search on Monday night.
Mhm.
Went pretty well. We have 2 more tomorrow night and 2 more on Thursday night, and then we'll make our decision on 3 to 5 to send forward. And
great. So you have The next one is, the next,
My Wednesday night.
Okay, Wednesday night.
and Thursday night. So
Okay.
I'm not out every night this week.
All righty.
So, I was gonna ask Keith if he wanted to say anything more about the highway barn. I'm not sure, because I haven't been.
You
there
should
since-
have, because man,
I
this is
know.
that was a rare appearance.
No
that,
kidding. I
yeah.
mouthed it to him, but he said
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
He did say that he thought they were going to start putting the roof on this week.
There's part of a roof,
Yeah,
but not the
he said
entire
over
roof.
the main.
Right. It's not
thing.
completely enclosed yet, or at least it wasn't last Wednesday when I was there.
Yeah.
I'll see when I go this Wednesday, tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I saw him at the department head meeting this morning. He seemed to feel a roof was imminent. So
All
Well, I
right.
should hope so.
Excellent.
I've been, trying to forward the emails of minutes and things to you all, just so you have them, for future reference or whatever.
There's a posted negotiation for tomorrow. Is that not happening?
It is.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It is. Keith and I are meeting with Liz to talk about those issues that the highway department, the highway employees had
Okay.
with the Teamster contract. So
Okay.
I can let you know more about that next week.
Excellent.
okay. All right. Dennis and I were at Maya discrimination training this week, and somebody brought up that they had these sort of cool signs, and both of us kind of went ooh ah, and I got them from her. And basically, it's a sign about conduct when folks come in to visit. We have most people are really good, but we have certain hot spots. I think Mary's probably one, the assessor's office is probably another one. So we thought it might not be a bad idea to put something like this up in those offices.
Sure.
It's interesting.
Can I see?
Okay. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I even made you a copy and I forgot to
Thank
give
you.
it to you.
No, I didn't see anything.
Oh, am I violent? I can't.
Yeah,
No, we're
we're
talking
putting it-
about the visitor.
Right, right up, right
Yeah.
up on the board there where you can see. Yeah.
We could put them right on the little frames or something so that they're front and center and
I mean, with the
Sort
possible
of
exception
pointing.
of
did I forget to
drinking, I have no objection.
Okay.
And only at some meetings
And
when
only
they
Tom
get
can
really
drink.
frustrating.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No.
We thought that wouldn't
There's
be,
there's drinking allowed when they drive you to drink, but yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that.
Yeah.
No, I think that all looks good. Yeah.
It just reminds folks to be on their best
Yeah,
behavior.
I like
and there
it.
are consequences.
Yeah,
if-
it's not a bad
if
Was it
they're
idea.
not.
Selectmen's, and what was the other office? That you thought it would be good to have?
Assessors was one that definitely came up. I don't know if there are others, but those
Town
were the
clerk,
two.
visitors
Yeah,
frequent, yeah.
That would be up to Eloise if she wanted to, but certainly
You
For
should
the
take it
police
to
lobby.
the department head meeting and see who wants one.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Or at the entrance to the building.
Anything
Um,
else?
I had a tentative liaison assignment sheet. It was just, we had talked about it a little bit.
Sure.
And we can switch or change however you want, but this was
Oh.
what I thought folks had kind of.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you can just give feedback or whatever
No,
you
no.
want to do. but-
Oh, no, that's good. No, seeing the library trustees, I had a flash that it was this Friday. I had to meet with them, but it's next Friday.
Okay.
That was my hesitation. I was like, no,
Meet with the- Yes.
it's next Friday. Okay. No, that looks pretty good.
I was a little more creative with yours, so if there's something that you don't like or don't want on there or want to switch with, we can chat about it. It was just to get a working model, so.
Now, when the unions negotiate, Tom, you had been doing the unions for the police.
Mhm.
Lisa will be doing those?
Mm-hmm.
And do you want me to be responsible for unions, for, union negotiations for the schools? Or the,
I would guess, like,
That's fine.
you seem
I
to be
just-
the school, I mean, because of
They're
your
gonna get
experience
sick
on the
of
school
seeing me.
committee. Yeah, and if at some point you don't wish to do that anymore,
Right.
we can
oh, I'll
certainly.
let you know.
But I think it's easier to like upfront go, okay, Chris does schools, and then when something
Right.
school comes up, we just go, okay,
Yeah, the
got
superintendent
it.
search will most likely be done after this week.
okay.
But I know
Yeah.
every once in a while, union negotiations will come up for either Tohoto or Berlin.
And I am gonna post this probably on the web, so if there are more other things that you do that are not on there,
Then I want to tell people
then let
that.
me know. Yeah, that you wanna tell people about. Let
yeah.
me know, cause I'll give it to Garth, cause part of the reason I got the idea was looking at Harvard's. It seemed nice for folks to know sort of what the point
I
person
think
was.
just with that,
Oh, yes.
And town
Okay, you do
management
that.
is the town administrator, that group.
Yeah, that's called the
Okay.
town management. I've been
Okay.
at every one of those, so.
Right.
yeah,
um,
that's right. Accountant.
Oh, yeah.
And if there's anything, like I said, anything
Yeah,
to
if I
add,
think of any,
James,
but I
just
think that'll
throw it at me.
do.
Um,
When I go to the dump, I talk to the treasurer too.
Um,
There
Jim
you go.
suggested, maybe tongue in cheek, but maybe not, that I have a liaison.
Did what?
Did you have a
I have
liaison so that you knew your
Yeah,
point
an
person?
off-meeting point of contact to talk about stuff versus always doing it at a public meeting, which may not be the best use of everyone's time.
Oh, yes. I think actually that whoever is chairman should be your main contact.
Okay.
And that should just rotate with the chairmanship. That would be my feeling.
Okay. So sounds good. Now, is the board house an actual group or is that historical?
Well, it's a project that is.
Oh, the project,
Going for
okay,
it.
gotcha.
And I took the question mark off of that because it is a historical project, so it, you know.
It kind of falls under the
it'll fall
historical
under that one,
commission.
but
You
yes.
notice I sort of was
No.
grouping based on what I thought folks had some
No, I think that's
knowledge or
fine.
contacts with,
Mhm.
so.
I think that's fine. Anything else from,
Division of Local Services is coming to the town management study committee tomorrow night. They're moving together. You saw your interviews, so they're moving forward with interviewing everybody. They've got a ton of them done this week. Everybody I talked to has talked to somebody, so that's moving forward
Have
very
you
well.
talked with Wayne?
no, I don't think I've gotten an email from Wayne.
I gave him your email address.
I know you did, but
You
I
were
didn't
gonna
get
try
it.
You were
and
the
catch
only
you
one he
tonight.
hadn't scheduled.
He was
so-
gonna try and catch you tonight, I
Oh.
Kept
think,
coming
but,
back in and out of the room, he must have been seeing if you were wrapping up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I
can
hadn't
get
heard
you his
from him and
email
I'd been
address,
looking.
too.
Oh, as I said, I just hadn't seen
he'll
an
get a
email.
hold of you.
Okay.
Yep,
I touched base with Chief Galvin this week, and we talked about the possibility of having an information technology committee, and he was wholeheartedly in agreement with
I
that
thought he would be.
concept. So I will work something up based on the other committees that are in existence. There are a few out there from my studies. It's not huge yet, but it seems like it's starting to be something that folks are recognizing that they're needing. So we can go forward
Yeah.
with that, and I will get you something probably next week on that.
Good.
Okay,
Do we wanna put this on an agenda? Or do we need to put this on an
Liaison
agenda, take a vote, or is
I
it
have
good
no
like
idea.
this?
why don't you type it up with the changes that we suggested and we'll put it on the agenda for next week too.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Mhm.
That also gives people a chance to think about it, see if any,
Right, see if
they're
we
forgetting
forgot
anything. Okay?
That's probably about it. I've been working on getting last year's annual town meeting report in an online version. I did manage to get most of the files. I am altering to provide sort of an idea of where we could go with it, so it's not going to look identical to what we currently have, because I'd like people to see potentials for how we could maybe represent the information.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a good bit of that in.
Great.
And we'll have hopefully the rest of it done shortly.
And I obviously attended the town hall construction meeting. There wasn't anything particularly, notable there, so things are progressing. We I will confirm this when I attend tomorrow, but we appear to have been lucky. People were expeditious in getting the elevator in, so we only had 2 weeks of the three-phase
So it
generator.
is in, good.
Oh, yeah, it's in.
Oh, I should
It's
have said
in.
something. I knew that because of the inspectors meeting this morning.
Oh,
Yeah.
They've been going
Yeah,
up and down with
yeah.
it.
oh, cool.
Yeah, but now they'll, the idea being that if we had not brought the generator in, everything would have stopped. A lot of things would have been in
Right.
abeyance, and we
I
would have
forgot
had
that date
additional
had
costs.
come and gone.
Yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah, so there,
Cool.
that's, and again, we were trying to keep that, to as, tight a period as possible
Mm-hmm.
to reduce the expense of having the generator in. And they had it in under 2 weeks, so I'll know the final figure probably tomorrow, but it's well within the maximum amount well within. So there was that. And then obviously I was working on that report. With that report now off my plate, I'm going to be meeting with fire, next week and see where we are with them.
Okay.
Okay?
I actually, I went to some of the training for the ladder truck,
Oh.
which is pretty darn fabulous, by the way.
Oh, it is. Actually,
It really
I
is,
didn't,
yeah.
I happened to be there having my meeting with Chief C, what was it, 2 weeks ago, basically the day it was delivered, and they had it out, and so I didn't get a
Yeah,
ladder
nobody-
ride, did you?
Oh, I didn't get a ladder ride, but I did get to go up and watch it extend.
Yeah,
and-
yeah, they were
and,
working on that stuff when yeah.
Yeah, it's
It
pretty
is.
cool. And I got to see the cab go forward, which is also pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So is
It's all-
this
it's
the
all
open
hydraulic.
house on Sunday?
They also had, I had missed I wanted to do the training with the burning down the house, and I had a horse show that I couldn't go to, and
Oh.
I caught Deputy Chief Pelletier in the hallway, and he's like, well, you could come over and do some of the ladder truck stuff on Sunday, so
Nice.
I popped over and did that for a couple hours
Nice.
with them.
All
So
right.
very fun. Oh, and I forgot, hats. The police department, the union is selling hats to benefit breast cancer. There have been a couple of folks in the department whose loved ones have had to have treatment. So these wonderful hats are for sale in the police department for $25.
Let me show the back. Show the back
yes.
too.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Dana
cool.
Farber because they've done treatment for their loved ones, and also there's I cannot remember the name of the breast cancer
I don't remember the name of the
association.
account either. There's also a local
But-
account. It's gonna benefit.
Great.
But they just, they're very popular. They just sold out, but they're doing another order. So go down and get your hats.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Anything else from the floor? All right.
Would you like a motion to adjourn?
I would love that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.